Welcome back to the horror storytelling channel Bong Toi Trong Dem. Today, the channel is honored to introduce the horror story titled The Midnight Bus Ride. Before we begin, if you enjoy the story, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you for listening. Now let's get started. Hoang, 27 years old, worked at a small design company in the city center. He often stayed late at work, sometimes missing the last bus. His life repeated the same routine, nothing special, until that night, the night he first stepped onto the midnight bus. The streets after rush hour were nearly empty. The dim yellow street lights looked half asleep, casting weak glows on the road still damp with old rain. Hoang walked quickly, his heavy backpack pressing down on his shoulders, filled with his laptop and unfinished drawings. He muttered to himself, sighing softly. Late again, tomorrow the boss will definitely give me that glare. At his usual bus stop, Hoang pulled out his phone. It was past 11 p.m. Normally there were no buses at this hour. Yet the digital display flashed a strange message. Route 12 last trip 5 minutes. Hoang frowned, surprised. He shook his head, whispering aloud, "Weird, Route 12 I take every day doesn't have a trip this late." Before he could think further, the sound of an engine rumbled from afar. An old, worn-out bus crawled toward him, its dim yellow headlights cutting through the mist. The doors opened with a heavy creak. The driver kept his head lowered, face hidden in the shadows. He gave a small nod and rasped in a hoarse voice, "Get on, this is the last ride." Hoang hesitated, but thinking about work the next day, he stepped inside. The dim yellow lights flickered overhead. Dust coated the seats. Only a few passengers sat scattered inside, an old woman by the window clutching a cloth bag, a young couple whispering to each other in hushed tones, and a man in a black suit at the very back, his face stiff like stone. Hoang sat down in the middle. The silence was heavy, broken only by the steady hum of the engine. Trying to ease the eerie stillness, he spoke up with a polite smile. "Driver, does this bus stop at Ly Thuong Kiet intersection?" Without turning, the driver's deep, muffled voice replied, "Just stay seated, I'll stop where you need." Hoang nodded but felt uneasy. He liked certainty and details. The old woman suddenly turned toward him, her cloudy eyes fixed on his face. Tilting her head, she spoke in a trembling voice. You're on this ride too?" Startled by her strange tone, Hoang forced a polite smile. "Yes, ma'am, just heading home. I don't even know why there's such a late bus tonight." The woman's toothless grin widened, her wrinkled hands clutching the bag tighter. "This bus, not everyone can see it." Hoang furrowed his brows, but before he could ask, the young couple in front chuckled softly, as if sharing a private joke. The sound echoed eerily in the quiet bus, unsettling him. He leaned forward and asked, "Excuse me, where are you two headed so late?" The girl rested her head on the boy's shoulder, gazing at Hoang with calm eyes. "We're going home." Her words lingered coldly in the air. The boy only gave a strange smile, saying nothing. The bus rolled slowly through empty streets. Outside, everything looked hazy, veiled in mist. Hoang realized the route was different from his usual one. He frowned and asked, "Driver, I think you're taking another road, aren't you?" The driver's rough voice cut back. "Shortcut, just stay seated." The air grew heavier. Time seemed to crawl. His phone still read 11:47. Frozen, unmoving, no signal bars, no network. The old woman leaned in closer, whispering so only he could hear, "Don't question too much. This bus will take you where you need to go." Hoang swallowed hard, eyes darting to the window. Instead of familiar houses, only rows of bare, lifeless trees stretched endlessly along the road. The bus kept rolling, wheels hissing on damp pavement. The engine's drone the only sound in the world. Hoang took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. Maybe it's just some extra late-night route. I'm overthinking. But when his gaze shifted to the back, his eyes met the man in the black suit. The man sat motionless, his cold, unblinking stare seemed to pierce straight through Hoang. In that chilling moment, Hoang felt an icy shiver crawl down his spine. Hoang tried to keep his eyes away from the man in the black suit. But the feeling lingered. It was as if something invisible forced him to glance back every so often. The man never blinked, his pale face illuminated under the dim yellow light, and his hand resting on his knee was stiff as stone. Hoang cleared his throat softly, pretending to look out the window. The city streets had vanished without him noticing, replaced by a single endless road. No signs, no houses, just bare trees and darkness pressing in from all sides. He swallowed hard, trying to reassure himself. Hoang muttered under his breath, "Maybe this is just the outskirts. I don't know every route." Seeking some calm, Hoang turned to the old woman beside him. He forced a smile and asked gently, "Grandma, where are you headed this late? Normally there aren't any buses now." She clutched her cloth bag tighter, eyes staring blankly out the window. Only after a long pause did she answer, her voice like a faint echo of a distant story. "I'm visiting someone I know. It's been a long time since this bus appeared. I must go, or I may never have another chance." Hoang was startled, tilting his head curiously. "Someone you know, are they very far away?" The old woman slowly nodded, the corner of her lips curling into an unreadable smile. "Very far, but you'll meet someone you know too, if you stay on long enough." A chill ran through Hoang's body. He forced a laugh but didn't ask further, afraid the conversation would only deepen his unease. Up front, the young couple whispered again. The girl's voice floated out, soft like the wind. "Do you think today will be different?" The boy chuckled gently, tightening his grip on her hand. "Different or not, we're still together." Hoang caught every word. He frowned, cutting in with a question. "Sorry, where are you two heading?" "It's really late." The girl turned, her dark eyes locking on Hoang. Tilting her head, she replied slowly, "We're going home. Everyone who rides this bus goes home." The words stuck in Hoang's throat. The way she emphasized "going home" made it sound both comforting and unsettling at once. He sighed, leaned back against the seat, and pulled out his phone. The clock was still frozen at 11:47. The battery hadn't dropped, yet time itself seemed locked. He pressed the power button, screen off, then on again, but nothing changed. Frustrated, he muttered, "Broken already? I just bought this thing." Suddenly, the bus engine roared louder, startling him. The vehicle surged forward, trees flashing past the window like smeared shadows. The bus rattled, yet none of the passengers seemed to notice. The man in the black suit shifted. Slowly, he lifted his head, his hollow dark eyes fixed directly on Hoang. His voice broke the silence, hoarse yet clear. "You are also trying to find your way home, aren't you?" Hoang froze. For a moment, he couldn't respond. Finally, he nodded slowly, forcing calm. "Yes, I just want to go home. Home, like always." The man pressed his lips together, eyes cold as ice. After a pause, he gave a faint nod and added, "Home, good. Everyone must go home eventually." Hoang's throat felt parched. He turned quickly away, not daring to continue. The old woman gently touched his shoulder. Her frail voice trembled. "Don't worry, you'll get used to it. Everyone does the first time." Confusion swirled in Hoang's mind, but before he could ask, his eyes caught the driver's reflection in the rearview mirror. The driver's eyes were bottomless, pitch black, not like any human gaze. The brakes screeched, piercing the silence. The bus slowed and came to a stop in a dim, unfamiliar place. Through the window, Hoang saw only an empty stretch of land, faintly lit by a few flickering street lamps in the distance. The driver's rasping voice echoed inside the bus. "Station's here. Whoever's getting off, get off." The old woman nodded and rose slowly. The young couple held hands and walked toward the door. The man in the black suit followed last, each step heavy. Panicked, Hoang jumped up and asked quickly, "Driver, where is this place? I don't recognize it." The driver never turned his head. His dry voice replied, "Just a stop. Everyone will arrive where they belong." The bus doors opened, letting in a rush of cold wind that blew old papers across the floor. The old woman glanced back at Hoang one last time, her toothless smile fading into the darkness. Hoang hesitated, then stepped off as well. The flickering streetlight revealed only a vague, empty lot, no signposts, no connecting roads, just a vast field of darkness stretching endlessly. Behind him, the bus engine growled again. Slowly, the vehicle rolled away, leaving Hoang standing alone. He turned, catching only the last trace of red taillights dissolving into the void. Silence fell once more. Hoang stood frozen, breath unsteady, heart pounding hard in his chest. Before him, out of the shadows, a faint narrow path appeared, waiting for him to take the next step. The night wind howled past, freezing cold, making Hoang shiver. He stood rooted in the empty lot, scanning the surroundings but finding no trace of any familiar road. Only a narrow path stretched into the darkness, fading deeper into the night. Hoang swallowed hard, then reassured himself silently. Maybe they dropped me off at the wrong place. If I just walk a bit, I'll find the main road. He gripped the strap of his backpack tightly and began walking along the path. Dry grass crunched underfoot, and the air carried a damp, musty smell. After a few steps, a sound came from behind. Hoang spun around, startled. In the distance, under the flickering street lamp, the silhouette of the old woman appeared. She leaned on her cane, walking slowly but steadily, her eyes fixed straight on him. Relieved, Hoang slowed his pace to wait. He called out, trying to sound friendly. "You got off here too? Grandma? I thought I was lost all alone." The old woman gave a toothless smile, her breath quivering with each word. "Having someone to walk with makes it less frightening, doesn't it?" Hoang gave an awkward laugh and nodded. "Yes, that's true. Walking alone at night like this, it's a little scary." The old woman shook her head, her cloudy eyes glinting faintly in the dark. "Scary or not, it's only what you think. In truth, every path leads to where you're meant to be." Hoang stayed silent, puzzled. He walked alongside her, trying to shift the conversation. "Do you live around here, Grandma? I've never seen this place before." She tapped her cane lightly against the ground, her voice slow and steady. "I live at the end of this path. Just follow, and you'll see." Hearing that, Hoang felt a bit relieved. At least someone knew the way, though the strange buzz still lingered uneasily in his mind. They walked on, the chirping of insects filling the fields. Up ahead, a faint glow flickered, like an oil lamp in the distance. Then, voices carried through the night. Hoang lifted his head and saw the young couple standing at a fork in the path. The girl waved her hand, her voice light and gentle. "Hoang, come walk with us." Hoang froze, his heart pounding. He had never told them his name. He frowned, stepping closer, and demanded, "How do you know my name?" The boy smiled calmly, squeezing the girl's hand as he replied evenly, "Once you've ridden the bus, names don't matter. We all know each other here." A shiver ran down Hoang's spine, but he forced himself to stay composed. He looked straight at them and spoke slowly. "Sorry, but I've never met either of you before." The girl laughed softly, the sound drifting in the night like the wind. "Never met, but we've known each other for a long time." Hoang instinctively stepped back half a pace. Inhaling deeply, he glanced at the old woman, hoping for an explanation, but she only stared ahead silently, as if nothing unusual had happened. The air grew heavier. The field was so quiet that Hoang could hear his own heart pounding in his chest. To break the tension, he spoke quickly, his voice a little shaky. "Well then, if we're going the same way, let's walk together. This place feels too strange to go alone." The boy nodded, his gaze softening. "Yes, it'll be easier together. We're almost there." Hoang narrowed his eyes, pressing on. "Almost where? Where are we going?" The girl tightened her grip on her partner's hand, smiling in that strange way. "Home." A chill rippled through Hoang, but he asked no more. Silently, he followed, unease growing stronger with each step. Yet logic told him it was safer to walk with them than wander alone across the endless dark field. Far ahead, the flickering yellow light grew clearer, like a small house waiting for them in the night. The light ahead grew clearer with each step. Hoang narrowed his eyes, realizing it wasn't an electric bulb but a small oil lamp hanging in front of an old tiled roof house. The walls were stained with patches of moss, and the wooden door was left slightly ajar. Hoang hesitated for a moment, an unshakable feeling stirring inside. He glanced at the old woman, then asked, Is this your house?" She tapped her cane against the ground, her voice slow, as if stating the obvious. "That's right, this is my home." Hoang frowned, still doubtful. "But there's nothing around here but empty fields." "You live alone?" The old woman smiled, toothless but with eyes that seemed bottomless. "I've grown used to being alone. Sometimes, visitors still come by." At that moment, the young girl stepped forward, holding tightly to the boy's hand. She looked at Hoang, her eyes gleaming in the oil lamp's light. "Come inside for a while. The night is cold, you shouldn't stand out here." Hoang wavered, his reason told him to refuse. But with darkness stretching endlessly around him, he felt he had no other choice. He gave a cautious nod and replied softly, "All right, I'll trouble you for a little while." The wooden door creaked open. Inside, the house was simple: an old wooden table and chairs, a standing cabinet, and the faint scent of incense. On the table sat an incense bowl with a few burned-out sticks. Ash scattered across the surface. Hoang placed his backpack on a chair. Trying to act natural, he turned to the old woman and remarked quietly, "Your home looks very old, but it feels warm." She sat down by the table, her trembling hands setting the cane aside. With a sigh, her voice drifted as if lost in the air. "Very old, because it's been here for a long time." Hoang shivered slightly but forced a smile. Looking toward the young couple, hoping for comfort, he asked, "By the way, I never got your names." "Did I?" The boy answered quickly, his voice clear in the silence. "My name is Khan. This is Hong, my girlfriend." Hoang nodded with a smile. "Khan and Hong, nice names. You're still so young. Why are you out so late?" Hong tilted her head, her gaze fixed on him, then spoke slowly. "We always go together. Every trip, early or late, we're always together." Hoang froze. He didn't know why her words sounded both sweet and haunting. Before he could ask more, Khan squeezed Hong's hand, smiling silently as if to close the conversation. The house fell quiet again. Only the faint whistle of wind slipped through the cracks in the door. Hoang cleared his throat, breaking the heavy silence. Grandma, may I ask, how do I get to the main road from here? I have to work tomorrow." The old woman turned, her cloudy eyes glowing faintly in the lamplight. "Don't rush, you still need to rest. In the morning, there will be a bus to take you." At once, Hoang remembered the strange ride earlier. His heart skipped, thudding faster. He forced a smile, answering vaguely, "Bus? You mean the city bus?" She didn't answer right away. She only gave a toothless grin, her eyes fixed on the incense bowl. The air seemed to grow colder. Hoang inhaled deeply, trying to steer the talk elsewhere. "Khan, Hong, do you come here often?" Khan glanced at Hong, then replied evenly, "Quite often. This place is very familiar to us." Hong nodded gently, a faint smile on her lips. "Yes, familiar enough to feel like home." Hoang blinked, his throat dry. He dared not ask more. Suddenly, the oil lamp flickered, its unsteady flame casting trembling shadows across the walls. For a moment, Hoang thought he saw the silhouettes of the old woman, Khan, and Hong stretch unnaturally long, twisting, and silently turning toward him. He shut his eyes for a second, convincing himself it was just exhaustion playing tricks. When he opened them again, everything looked normal. Exhaling shakily, he murmured, "Maybe, I really do need to rest a bit." The old woman nodded, her voice soft. "Yes, just sit still. Tomorrow morning there'll be another bus. Then you can continue your journey." Hoang leaned back in the chair, his breathing slowly calming, but inside, unease only grew stronger, as if the house, these people, and the midnight bus itself were all hiding something he wasn't meant to know. Outside, the night wind howled harder, carrying the scent of damp earth and faint incense into the narrow doorway. Hoang lifted his head, peering into the vast darkness beyond the porch. There, faint and far away, a red light flickered, the tail of the bus he had seen earlier. That glow shimmered, then vanished. The old house was steeped in an eerie silence. Only the faint crackle of the oil lamp and the whistling wind outside the porch could be heard. Hoang leaned back in his chair, his eyes still fixed on the darkness beyond the doorway. The image of the red light he had just glimpsed lingered in his mind. A stubborn streak of glow that wouldn't fade. He drew in a long breath, then turned to the old woman. His voice was low, trying to stay calm. "Grandma, could you show me the way back to the city center? I really need to get back soon. I have work tomorrow." She lifted her head, her cloudy eyes reflecting a deep, unfathomable light. Smiling faintly, she spoke slowly. "No need to rush. The night is long. Stay and rest. By morning, you'll see the way clearly." Hoang frowned, his hands clenched tightly together. He tried to keep his tone polite. "But, I don't want to trouble you. And honestly, sleeping here tonight would be difficult for me." Khan, sitting nearby, suddenly let out a short laugh. The brief sound was enough to thicken the air. His voice was steady as he spoke. "Hoang, you don't need to worry. We thought the same at first. But here, it becomes familiar. Even comfortable." Hong nodded gently, her hand tightening around Khan's. She smiled softly, her tone like a whispering breeze. "You just need to stay. By morning, the bus will take you. Every bus ride always takes you home." A shiver ran through Hoang. He couldn't understand why they kept saying home in such a strange, unsettling way. He turned to them, eyes probing, and asked directly, "Khan, Hong, where is your home? Is it close by?" Khan stared at him in silence for a few seconds before replying. "Our home isn't far. But you've never seen it before," Hong added softly, her voice slow and heavy. "Because you can only reach it when you take this bus." Hoang's throat tightened. He inhaled sharply, trying to steady the tremor in his voice. "This bus, what exactly is it? Why is it so different?" The old woman lowered her cane gently onto the floor, her eyes fixed on Hoang. Her frail voice wavered yet rang clear. "The midnight bus, it appears only for those who need it. Not everyone can see it. Not everyone can board it." Hoang froze, his palms damp with sweat, trying to escape the suffocating air. He rose and wandered around the house, pretending to look at things just to steady himself. On the wooden cabinet, he spotted several old, dust-covered picture frames. He wiped one clean and stopped cold. In the photo stood a family of 3, the old woman in her youth, a girl of about 10, and a middle-aged man in a black suit, with the exact same face as the man Hoang had seen sitting in the back of the bus. His heart jolted, pounding violently. He spun toward the old woman, his voice cracking. "Grandma, the man in this photo, who is he?" Her eyes clouded for a moment as she looked at the picture, then softened. She sighed, her trembling voice faint. "That was my family, back when it was still whole." Khan and Hong exchanged a glance, their faces blank. Then Hong tilted her head, her tone vague and chilling. "Does he look familiar to you?" Hoang stepped back half a pace, icy dread crawling down his spine. He stammered, "That man, isn't he the one in the black suit at the back of the bus?" The room went dead silent. The oil lamp flickered, casting shadows that wavered and leaned. The old woman did not deny it, nor did she explain. She only sat still, her hollow eyes gazing into the darkness outside the porch. Hoang swallowed hard, unease spreading like wildfire through his chest. Questions stormed his mind, yet his throat locked tight, refusing to form words. He collapsed back into the chair, his trembling hands resting on his knees, sweat beading at his temples. Outside, the wind suddenly roared louder, carrying with it a strange sound, like the engine of a bus humming from far away. Hoang's head snapped up, his eyes wide. The noise was bone-chillingly familiar. The sound of wheels grinding against wet pavement echoed through the night. Khan smiled, his eyes lighting up. "Do you hear it, Hoang? The bus has come again." Hong squeezed Khan's hand, her voice light but chilling. "The next ride is waiting." Hoang sat frozen, his breath shallow and quick. In that moment, he couldn't tell whether to feel relieved that there was a way out, or terrified of where that bus would take him. The engine's roar grew closer and closer, as if it had stopped right outside the porch. The sound of the engine slowed to a stop, as if someone had just pulled the brake right outside the gate. Hoang felt the whole house tremble faintly. He shot to his feet. His eyes locked on the pitch-dark porch. His voice came out shaky, though he tried to keep calm. There really is a bus? Why did it come all the way here? Khan gave a faint smile, as if this was something he had long been accustomed to. His tone was steady. The bus always arrives where it needs to. It never gets lost. Hong tilted her head, her eyes glimmering strangely as she looked at Hoang. Are you afraid? All you need to do is step out. Things will be simpler than you think. Hoang shook his head, his fists clenched tight, his breathing quickened, words spilling out in a rush. No, I can't just step on like that. I want to know where this bus goes, and who those people on it really are. The old woman tapped her cane against the floor, the sharp thud echoing in the silent room. Her voice was slow, deliberate. The bus doesn't take anyone anywhere. People simply find the place they are meant to reach. Hoang froze, cold sweat trailing down his neck. His voice trembled with fear and confusion. What do you mean? You're saying the bus has no destination? The old woman shook her head, her lips moving softly. No destination, no departure, only those who cannot yet let go. The wind outside howled louder, rattling the old wooden door. The engine's rumble came again, sharper this time, like a call pressing against the silence. Khan rose, straightening his jacket. His voice was light but firm as he addressed Hoang. You can stay, or you can go, but if you miss this chance, you'll never see it again. Hong stepped closer, her small hand resting gently on Hoang's arm. Her voice was soft, but it made his skin crawl. You don't want to wander forever, do you? Hoang trembled. He looked toward the door, then back at them, his voice breaking with doubt. If I get on, will I ever come back? Khan was silent for a long while, his eyes deep and unreadable. At last, his voice dropped low. No one ever returns the same. But sometimes, going back isn't what matters. Hoang's heart pounded wildly. He felt torn between two choices: to remain in this suffocating house, or to step out and face the mystery waiting in the night. Slowly, he walked toward the door, his trembling hand pressed against the wooden latch. Taking in a deep breath, he pushed it open. At once, the dim yellow light spilled in, spreading across the damp ground. There, in front of the porch, the old bus stood motionless, its doors already open. Inside, rows of empty seats stretched back, with only a few shadowy figures sitting silently, their faces hidden in the dark. The wind outside seemed to stop. All sound faded, leaving only the thunder of Hoang's heartbeat in his chest. He turned to the old woman, his voice hoarse. If I get on, will I see them again? She nodded faintly, her cloudy eyes glistening with sorrow. You will, but remember, never ask where they're going, because they don't have an answer. Hoang's throat tightened, his feet felt nailed to the doorstep. Khan and Hong stepped beside him, one on each side. Khan's voice was steady, almost like a warning. Go on, tonight, the bus is waiting just for you. Hong smiled, her eyes shining as she whispered like a drifting breeze. Don't be afraid. In the end, we all must take the ride. Sweat trickled down Hoang's temple. His eyes locked on the dim interior of the bus, where a familiar shadow seemed to be waiting at the very back. In that moment, his foot lifted hesitantly, moving toward the steps. The yellow light blurred, dissolving into the chill of the midnight air. The bus steps were icy cold underfoot. Hoang placed his first foot on them, his heart pounding as if it might burst from his chest. He swallowed hard, eyes fixed on the dim, shadowed space inside the bus. He paused for a moment, then turned back. The old woman, Khan, and Hong still stood at the porch, their eyes following him. His voice came out hoarse, trembling and urgent. Do I really have to go alone? The old woman tilted her head slightly, her tone slow but firm. Every ride has only one seat meant for you. No one else can take it in your place. Khan slipped his hands into his pockets. His gaze locked on Hoang, and spoke crisply. You'll be fine. Don't look back, just walk straight inside. Hong gave a faint, sorrowful smile. Her voice drifted like a breeze. You'll find it more familiar than you think. Hoang bit his lip, his fingers curling into fists. Taking a deep breath, he climbed another step. The bus door creaked as if sighing in wait. He stepped fully inside. At once, the weak yellow lights flickered along the aisle, casting shadows over the worn-out seats. Many were empty, with only a few scattered passengers sitting silently, heads bowed, their faces half hidden in shadow. Hoang swallowed again, moving slowly down the aisle. His hand brushed the seatbacks, feeling the cold leather and the musty smell clinging to the air. Suddenly, a man's voice rose from near the back, deliberate and slow. Sit wherever you like, but once you choose, don't change. Hoang startled, turning his head. A thin man sat there, wearing a dark coat, his messy hair falling across half his face. He never fully looked up, but his words were clear. Hoang hesitated, then answered in a small, unsteady voice. All right, I understand. He sat in a middle row by the window. The glass was fogged, reflecting his pale, anxious face. The bus trembled, its engine growling before it rolled forward. Outside, the faint light faded. The house and the figures of the old woman, Khan and Hong, disappeared into the darkness. Hoang clenched his fists, then turned slightly toward the thin man. His voice was low, strained to sound calm. Do you ride this bus often? The man didn't move, his tone flat. Often, but never the same. Hoang frowned, leaning in slightly. What do you mean, never the same? The man gave a raspy laugh. Each time, there's someone new, and someone no longer here. A chill swept over Hoang. He stayed silent, then turned back to the window, searching for comfort in the endless night outside. At that moment, a young woman's voice floated from behind, gentle, but with a faint tremor. This is your first time too, isn't it? Hoang twisted around. A girl of about 20 sat a few seats back, her face pale, long hair draped over her shoulders. She stared at him intently. Hoang forced a weak smile. Yes, my first time. And you? The girl tilted her head, her gaze distant. Me too. I don't even remember why I got on. Hoang frowned, his voice rushing out. You don't remember? You mean, you don't know where you came from? She pressed her lips together, shaking her head softly. I only remember someone calling my name, then suddenly, I was here. Her words made Hoang's spine turn to ice. Hesitating, he asked carefully, what's your name? The girl blinked, her lips moving as if to speak, but then she sighed. Finally, she whispered, I'm not sure, maybe Mai. Hoang froze, overcome with an inexplicable chill. The silence deepened, until the brakes screeched suddenly. The bus jolting hard. It stopped in the middle of the dark road. From the driver's seat, the hoarse voice echoed, next stop. Yet all the passengers sat still, unmoving. Hoang's chest tightened as his eyes darted around. The thin man hunched further, his voice steady like a warning. Remember this. Never ask them where they're going. Hoang swallowed hard, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. He turned to the open bus door, where the darkness outside seemed ready to swallow every trace of yellow light. The bus door creaked open, and the night wind rushed in, icy cold. Outside was pitch black, no streetlights, only the damp smell of earth mixed with fog. Hoang instinctively hunched his shoulders, staring at the emptiness beyond the doorway. He swallowed hard, then turned to the thin man beside him. Sir, where is this bus stopping? The man curled his lips slightly, shaking his head slowly. I told you, don't ask where they're going. Just pretend you don't see. Hoang frowned, but before he could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed. From the back, a limping figure rose, a man in a worn gray coat. Without looking at anyone, he silently walked down the aisle and stepped off the bus. The moment his shoes touched the ground, the darkness swallowed him whole. No trace of his figure remained, not even footsteps. Only the heavy slam of the bus door lingered. Hoang shivered, his hand gripping the seat rail. His voice dropped to a near whisper. Where did he go? The girl who had called herself Mai leaned forward, her voice trembling. I didn't see anything either. It's like he just disappeared. The thin man stayed silent, head bowed. The bus rolled forward again. Its engine hummed low, the frame vibrating faintly. The yellow lights inside flickered, threatening to go out. Hoang's breathing came fast as he forced his voice to sound calm. Turning to Mai, "You're sure you don't remember anything? Where were you before this bus?" Her brows furrowed, her eyes lost and distant. "All I remember is a voice calling my name. Then suddenly, I woke up here. I don't even know how long I've been sitting." Hoang gave a strained laugh, his voice trembling. "That sounds like a dream." Mai lifted her head slightly, her dark eyes fixed on him. "Do you think this is a dream?" Flustered, Hoang rubbed his forehead and sighed. I don't know. Everything just feels too strange." At that moment, the driver suddenly spoke, his hoarse voice echoing like from far away. "Sit still. Another stop is coming." Hoang flinched, leaning forward to look toward the driver's seat. The man wore a silver-buttoned coat, broad-shouldered, but his cap was pulled low, hiding his face. Hoang called out cautiously, "Driver, where exactly is this bus going?" Without turning, the man replied curtly, "To where it must." Hoang bit his lip, sweat dampening his back. He leaned closer to Mai, lowering his voice. "And when you hear that, doesn't it scare you?" Mai forced a faint, hollow smile. "Maybe less than you think. Because I've got nothing left to lose." Her words made Hoang's chest tighten painfully. He wanted to say more, but the bus suddenly braked hard. The second stop, the doors swung open. This time, two passengers rose. A young man in a wrinkled white shirt and a woman in her 30s clutching a handbag. Without a word, they quietly stepped off. Hoang watched intently, and this time he caught a glimpse outside, a narrow road, and faint light flickering in the distance, like a lamp shining from someone's house. His voice burst out, "I saw it, there's light out there." The thin man shook his head slowly, his tone steady. "Don't stare, that light isn't for you." Hoang spun around, eyes wide. "What do you mean? If not for me, then for who?" The man gave no answer. He only bowed his head, as though sinking into sleep. The bus moved again, leaving the darkness behind. Hoang leaned back in his seat, heart pounding wildly. His voice slipped out in a broken whisper. "So, where is this bus really taking everyone?" Mai leaned closer, her breath soft as a secret. "Maybe, to the place we all must go. Sooner or later." Hoang turned to her, panic flickering in his eyes. But just as he opened his mouth to speak, the bus lights went out. A thick, suffocating darkness engulfed everything. In the instant the lights went out, the bus was plunged into a suffocating darkness. The engine still rumbled steadily, but everything else seemed smothered in shadow. Hoang's heart leapt, his hand gripping the seat edge tightly. His voice cracked into the dark. "Mai, are you still there?" A trembling breath brushed near his ear. Mai's whisper came, soft as a sigh. I'm here. Don't let go of my hand." Hoang quickly reached out, finding her small hand. He squeezed it gently and lowered his voice. "Don't worry. It's probably just a power issue. The lights will come back on soon." But another voice rose from the back, hoarse, slow, echoing as if from a hollow pit. "The lights don't go out because of a fault. They go out because the bus has passed the turn." Hoang jerked upright, eyes straining in vain against the dark. He snapped, his tone sharp with tension. "What turn? Who just said that?" There was a shuffle of fabric. The thin man spoke, his tone steady. "I did. Didn't you hear me?" Hoang furrowed his brows, trying to pin down the direction of the voice. His body trembled slightly, but he forced himself to ask, "What do you mean? What turn? I didn't see the bus turn anywhere." The man let out a weary, humorless laugh. "There are turns that no human eye can see. Once you've taken them, there's no road back." The words silenced the entire bus. Only the low grind of the engine and the soft scrape of tires on the road remained. Mai pressed closer, her whisper almost too soft to hear. "Hoang, if there really is such a turn, then where is this bus taking us?" Hoang swallowed hard, steadying his voice to calm her. I don't know yet, but wherever it is, I won't let you be alone." Mai's trembling hand squeezed back, Her breath came with a lost sigh. "I believe you." At that moment, the bus lights flickered back on. The seats reappeared, but something was wrong. Rows in the back were emptier than before. Hoang twisted around, exclaiming, "Wait, where did everyone go?" The thin man lifted his eyes. His tone indifferent, almost practiced. "They got off, didn't you see?" Hoang froze. He had held Mai's hand through the entire blackout. No one had stood. No doors had opened. His grip on the seat tightened. His voice strained. "Got off? When? I didn't hear a single step." The man only shook his head, replying quietly, "You don't need to hear. Just accept it." Hoang turned to Mai, eyes wide with confusion. She bit her lip, whispering, "I don't remember anyone leaving either, but the bus is definitely emptier now." Hoang clenched his jaw, staring straight ahead. He drew in a deep breath, gathering his nerve, and called toward the driver's seat. "Driver, what route is this? Where is the final stop?" The driver's form never shifted, his strong hands steady on the wheel. His gravelly voice rolled out, heavy as stone. "The final stop is always the same. Only the time of arrival changes." A chill shot down Hoang's spine. He opened his mouth, but before he could speak, the bus swerved, seats rattled, tires screeched. Mai cried out, clutching his arm. "What's happening?" Hoang wrapped his arm around her, trying to keep balance. His voice was urgent. "Hold on, I've got you. It's all right." The bus steadied again, but the view beyond the windows had changed. Gone was the endless black highway. In its place stretched a narrow stone-paved road, lined on both sides with rows of withered trees. Their brittle branches scraped against the bus, screeching like nails dragging across metal. Hoang pressed against the fogged glass, his heart racing. His voice fell to a near whisper, as though he couldn't trust his own eyes. "This road, I've never seen it before." Mai trembled, clutching his hand tighter, whispering, "Neither have I. This place, it doesn't feel real." The thin man only sat in silence, eyes closed, muttering as if to himself, "We've gone deeper. There won't be a way back now." Hoang spun around, his voice rising. "What do you mean? Tell me where this is." But the man gave no answer. He only sat still. The bus lumbered forward, its wheels grinding against the gray stone. Inside the cabin, silence reigned, broken only by the relentless hammering of Hoang's heart. The bus pressed deeper along the stone-paved road, the darkness outside so thick that even the headlights seemed swallowed whole, illuminating only a few feet ahead. On either side, withered trees rattled their branches, dry leaves whispering like hundreds of hands clapping together. Hoang glanced around, then leaned close to Mai, his voice low but steady. "Don't look outside anymore. Just focus on me." Mai nodded, her face pale, clutching his arm tightly. She whispered, trembling, I'm scared. This place feels like it doesn't exist on any map, like it isn't real at all." Hoang squeezed her hand, murmuring reassurance. "It's just a road, and every road must have an end. I'll make sure we get off safely." From the back, the thin man gave a hollow laugh. His voice stretched out, heavy and low. "Safe? Everyone on this bus once thought so. But in the end, few ever leave the way they hoped." Hoang spun around, anger flashing in his eyes. Leaning toward the man, he demanded, "You keep talking in riddles. If you know something, then say it plainly. I want the truth, not your cryptic warnings." The man slowly opened his eyes, his gaze cutting through the gloom. His voice came measured and grim. "Young man, truth isn't so easy to bear. Some things, the more you know, the less you escape." Mai suddenly spoke up, her voice shaking yet resolute. "Tell us, we need to know. We're already on this bus, we can't pretend it's nothing." The man leaned back, exhaling a long sigh. "Very well. Listen carefully. This bus doesn't run on any route you know. It only appears to those who happen to be waiting at the right place. At the right time, once you board, the road itself decides for you." Hoang's brows knitted, his tone sharp. "Decides what? You mean, fate?" The man nodded slowly, his voice rasping. "You could call it that. The final stop is where each person must face what they've been avoiding. Some get off midway, some ride to the end, but none truly escape. Mai clutched Hoang's arm tighter, her voice breaking. Hoang, does that mean this bus is taking us to death? The man shook his head. No, death is too easy. This is where you linger between living and dying. Those who can't overcome it are trapped here forever. The air inside grew suffocating. Hoang forced down the rising terror, gripping Mai's hand tighter, his voice firm. I don't care what this is. We'll get off together before we reach that cursed final stop. For the first time, the driver's voice cut through the silence, deep and heavy as stone. No one chooses where to get off. The doors only open when it's time. Hoang's eyes blazed, his voice nearly a shout. Driver, I'm not joking. I need to know when and where we can get off. The man never turned his head. His voice was cold, unyielding. Even if you need it, it doesn't matter. That choice isn't mine to give. The engine roared louder, the bus rattling violently as though rolling over jagged rocks. Hoang held Mai tightly, whispering into her ear, no matter what, I won't let go of you. Remember that. Mai buried her face against his chest, her shoulders shaking, her voice cracked with tears. I believe you. As long as you're here, I won't be afraid. Suddenly, the bus door gave a faint click, like a lock being undone from outside. Everyone turned, but the door remained firmly shut. The thin man muttered, his eyes distant. Someone's about to get off. Hoang tensed, scanning the cabin, pulling Mai close. He whispered urgently, stay ready. Whoever it is, I won't let you be dragged with them. The bus lurched sharply, then came to a jarring stop. Outside, the stone road opened into a vast, empty clearing, and at its center stood a lone figure, motionless, waiting in the middle of the path. The bus lurched violently, brakes screeching in a piercing cry. The whole cabin shook, and Mai nearly toppled forward if Hoang hadn't caught her tightly in his arms. Hoang looked up, heart hammering, eyes fixed ahead. In the middle of the endless stone-paved road, a figure stood motionless, under the flickering headlights. It grew clearer, a young woman, her long hair covering most of her face, her body frail, arms hanging limp like a discarded doll. Hoang tightened his hold on Mai, his voice urgent but steady. Stay in your seat, no matter what happens. Don't step out. Mai nodded shakily, clinging to him. Her words stumbled out, choked with fear. Hoang, is she a real person? Or is she? The thin man behind them suddenly spoke, his raspy voice dragging slowly. Not quite human, not quite ghost, just someone who went ahead, but never moved on. Hoang whipped around, brows furrowed. What do you mean? Why is she standing in the middle of the road? The man slowly closed his eyes, sighing. You'll see soon enough. Everyone on this bus must face it, the reason they were chosen. The cabin grew oppressively heavy, the engine sputtering like it too was holding its breath. The driver said nothing, both hands fixed on the wheel, eyes locked forward and cold. The bus door clicked open with a dry snap. Mai jolted, clutching Hoang in near tears, her voice trembling. Hoang, the door's open. I don't want to go out. I'm so scared. Hoang shielded her, holding her close. His voice was low but firm, each word a promise. Listen to me, no matter what happens. I won't let you face this alone. If someone has to step out, it'll be me first. Her voice cracked, eyes brimming. But what if she calls your name? What if this is your fate? Then Hoang pressed a finger gently to her lips, whispering, don't say that. I'm here. Just trust me. Silence fell as the figure outside slowly lifted her head. Strands of black hair slid aside, revealing a pale face and hollow, lifeless eyes. Her mouth opened, and a hoarse voice rasped like wind through a crack. Hoang. Hoang froze, his entire body locking in place. He clutched Mai tighter, his heart pounding like it would burst. Mai looked up in terror, her voice breaking into panic. She said your name. Hoang, how does she know you? Hoang swallowed hard, his own voice rough and unsteady. I don't know. I've never met her, never. The thin man slowly opened his eyes, fixing them on Hoang. His voice was deep, deliberate. You do know. You just refuse to remember. The one outside is a memory you abandoned. Hoang spun on him, his face twisted with confusion and anger. What nonsense are you talking about? I've never known anyone like her. The man tilted his head, his lips barely moving, whispering like to himself, "You'll see soon enough. No one rides this bus without reason." Hoang's breath came fast, his chest tight. He turned to Mai, gripping her shoulders firmly, his words clear and unshaking. "No matter what happens, remember what I said. Don't leave the bus. I have to face her." Mai clutched his hand desperately, shaking her head, sobbing, "No, don't go. If you step out, you won't come back. I can feel it. Please, I beg you." Hoang forced her trembling eyes to meet his, speaking each word like a vow. "I promise, I will come back. Trust me, Mai. If I don't face this, neither of us will ever be free." Tears streamed down her face as she clung to him. But the bus door groaned open wider, icy wind tearing through the cabin, sweeping away her fragile grip. Hoang drew in a deep breath, gently pried her hands from his, and stepped down. His figure disappeared into the thick gray fog, walking straight toward the waiting girl. The night wind whipped hard, carrying the damp, earthy smell of soil. Hoang took heavy steps forward, his heartbeat pounding like war drums. With each step, the distance to the shadowy figure shrank, and the air around him thickened, pressing down on his chest. The long-haired girl stood still, her dark eyes locked on him. When Hoang stopped about 2 meters away, she tilted her head slightly, pale lips parting to whisper, "Have you truly forgotten me, Hoang?" Hoang froze, his brows knitting tight. His voice came out hoarse, a mix of doubt and anger. "Who are you? I've never known you. You must have me mistaken." The girl gave a crooked smile, twisted and sharp like a hiss. She took one step closer, hair spilling over her face, her voice breaking. "No, you knew me very well. In fact, but you left me behind. That rainy night, you walked away as if nothing had ever existed." Hoang shook his head violently, as if to drive out the fog of half-formed memories clawing at him. His tone hardened. "No, I never did that. Don't pin stories on me that I don't even know." From inside the bus, Mai pressed her face against the glass, trembling, her palm flattened on the door as she cried out, voice breaking, "Hoang, don't listen to her. Come back." The thin man behind her sat with the same cold gaze. He muttered under his breath, almost to himself, "The more you deny, the tighter it clings. Memories you refuse to face turn into ghosts." Hoang glanced back at the bus, catching the sight of Mai nearly in tears, and his heart clenched. Drawing in a deep breath, he steadied himself, then faced the girl directly. "If I really abandoned you, then tell me who you are. Say it clearly. I want to hear." The girl halted, her eyes glimmering, on the edge of breaking. Her voice shook, fragile and faint. "I am Nok, the one who waited for you at the bus stop that night. You promised you'd return, but you disappeared. That night, I stood there until the rain poured down. And I never went home again." Hoang felt as if someone had struck him in the chest. A faint image flickered in his mind, a young girl standing under the eaves in the rain, her face soaked, her eyes shining with hope. Then the vision vanished, leaving only the sound of falling rain. He staggered back a step, his voice trembling. "No, that, I." Nok reached out, her thin, cold hand brushing his. Her words drifted like the wind. "You don't remember, but I do. That one moment was my whole life. All I ever did was wait for you." A chill spread through Hoang's arm, racing down his spine, yet at the same time, his heart ached with sorrow he couldn't contain. He looked at her, his eyes torn with fear and pain. Then Mai's voice rang out from the bus, desperate, shattering. "Hoang, don't take her hand. You have to come back to me." Hoang turned and saw Mai crying out, her face filled with anguish. The sight snapped him back. He yanked his hand away from Nok's grasp, his voice firm and unyielding. "Whoever you are, whatever the past was, I can't go with you. The one I must protect now is Mai. She's my present." Nok froze, her eyes widened, splintering like cracked glass. Her frail body shook, her voice breaking like a sob. "You're leaving me? Again?" Her cry blended with the night wind, long, cold, and chilling Hoang to the bone. The gray fog swirled violently, swallowing her form. She faded into the mist, leaving only a faint echo. I will always be here, waiting? Hoang stood stunned, his hand still trembling, his chest aching as if he'd lost something nameless. From the bus, Mai dashed down and threw her arms around him. She sobbed into his chest, whispering through tears, "Don't leave me again. I was so scared. I thought you'd go with her forever." Hoang held her tightly, his own voice shaky though he tried to soothe her. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Trust me." In the distance, the driver quietly restarted the engine. The low rumble rolled through the night, as though pulling the world back onto its tracks. The bus lights flared on again, the door sliding open in wait. The thin man stepped out, pausing just long enough to murmur to Hoang in a voice impossible to read. "You made your choice, but choices always come with a price." Hoang didn't reply. He only gripped Mai's hand firmly, guiding her back onto the bus. The door shut behind them, sealing off the fog and emptiness outside. The bus rolled forward once more, plunging into the endless midnight road. The engine droned steadily, like the weary sigh of the night itself. Inside the bus, the dim yellow lights fell over Hoang and Mai's pale, exhausted faces. They sat pressed together, their hands clasped tight, as if letting go for even a moment would mean losing each other forever. Mai rested her head on his shoulder, her voice hoarse and trembling. "Hoang, are you sure we did the right thing? I saw the way she looked at you. It hurt. Like there really was a promise you forgot." Hoang tilted his head, meeting Mai's shadowed eyes. He exhaled slowly, his voice low and heavy. "I don't know. I feel like I've stood somewhere before, in the rain, but the memory is blurred, almost erased. I can't be certain of anything. Except one thing, I can't leave you." Mai squeezed his hand, tears glistening, whispering as if to reassure herself. "Then, that's enough for me. I don't care about your past. I only want you in this moment, here with me." The thin man in the backseat remained silent, eyes half closed as though drifting into sleep. Every now and then he let out a faint, bitter laugh, but spoke no more. The driver kept his gaze fixed ahead, his gray face expressionless, his deep-set eyes staring into the suffocating dark as if through another world. The bus jolted suddenly, then slowed. Through the fogged window, Hoang saw faint lights ahead, flickering like oil lamps in a heavy mist. Mai held her breath, her words stammering out. "Hoang, what is that up there? Is it the end of the road?" Hoang narrowed his eyes, trying to stay calm. In front of them rose a desolate bus terminal. Rusted tin roofs sagged, broken benches lay crooked and dust-covered. Overhead, a rotting wooden sign bore only a few faded letters, "Last stop." The bus eased to a halt. The brakes screeched long and sharp, echoing like a scream. The door swung open, and the night air rushed in, icy, reeking of damp grass and earth. The thin man opened his eyes, tilting his head toward Hoang. His voice rasped like something rising from deep underground. "We've arrived. This is the last stop. Those who still carry debts must get off. Only the unburdened can continue." Mai clutched Hoang's hand, her voice trembling in panic. "Get off? What does that mean? If we step out, will there be any way back?" The man only smiled faintly, his eyes as cold as stone. "Once you step off, there is no return. Each person only chooses once." Sweat chilled Hoang's palms as he gripped Mai's hand tighter. He looked at her terrified face, then out into the murky shadows of the last stop. His heart pounded, knowing the moment of choice had come. The driver coughed lightly, then spoke for the first time with a voice gravelly and precise. "Hoang, it's your turn." The cabin froze into silence. Mai nearly broke down, clinging to his arm, sobbing. "Don't go, please don't leave me. We've come this far together. Don't abandon me now." Hoang swallowed hard, his throat tight. Slowly, he stood, eyes never leaving Mai's. Each step toward the open door felt like lead. The night wind slammed into him, cold enough to pierce bone, wrapping his clothes like invisible hands trying to drag him away. He stopped at the threshold, turning back one last time. His voice cracked, trembling yet resolute. "Mai, if I don't come back, remember this. I never wanted to leave you." Mai cried out, her voice raw with despair. "Hoang, no, you have to stay with me. If you go, I'd rather die than live without you." Her scream tore through the air. But Hoang remained there, caught at the border between life and the unknown, where the line was nothing more than a single step. Mai burst into tears inside the bus, her sobs echoing, mixing with the eerie howl of the wind outside the desolate station. Hoang still stood there at the open doorway, one foot already on the cold iron step, the wind whipping at his clothes as though trying to pull him out into the darkness. From the back, the thin man spoke, his voice steady yet heavy with authority. "Hoang, every bus stops only once at the last station. No one can move on if they still carry a debt. Not money, not possessions, but the weight that lingers in the heart." Hoang shivered, as if suddenly understanding. He turned toward the murky night, and through the thick fog he saw the faint figure of a girl waiting. A long white dress swayed in the wind, her sorrowful eyes fixed on him. Mai saw it too and cried out, screaming in despair, "Don't believe it, don't go, that's only an illusion. I'm real, I'm the one here with you." Hoang looked back at Mai's tear-streaked face. He tried to step back inside, but his legs felt torn between two forces, one pulling him toward the ghostly figure in the fog, the other toward Mai's trembling hands clutching him desperately. His voice cracked, a broken confession. "Mai, I remember now. Long ago, there was a girl who walked with me in the rain, who waited for me at this very station. But I never returned. She died waiting for me." Mai's eyes widened, her voice trembling in anguish. "Then, does that mean I'm just her replacement? Just another shadow in your life?" Hoang shook his head violently, tears streaming down his face. "No, that's not true. You are my present. You're the one who's been with me all this way. I can't lose you now because of a ghost from the past." Summoning all his strength, he tore himself free from the pull outside and rushed back, throwing his arms around Mai. The bus shuddered violently, as if in protest. The wind shrieked. The door slammed shut with a heavy thud, sealing them away from the figure beyond. A piercing scream rang out from outside, then faded into nothingness. The thin man gave a slow nod, his deep-set eyes glinting faintly with approval. "The choice has been made. The bus can move on." Mai sobbed in Hoang's arms, relief and fear tangled in her trembling voice. "Don't ever leave me again? Promise me." Hoang held her tightly, lowering his head to whisper like a vow. "I promise. No matter the bus, no matter how long the night, I will always be with you." The bus rumbled, its engine growling before rolling forward once more. Outside the window, the last station receded into the suffocating night, the white figure dissolving into mist, leaving only emptiness behind. Inside, the dim yellow light still glowed faintly, shining over Hoang and Mai as they clung to each other. The steady hum of the engine carried them deeper into the endless night. The road ahead uncertain, the journey far from over. This story comes to an end here. Thank you for listening until this moment. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot and helps us create more haunting stories for you. If you have any questions or notice any mistakes, please leave a comment below. Thank you for watching. In darkness in the night, we'll see you again in the next story.